So we lived in Evergreen for 30 years, raised both of our children here, and we've actually lived in 5 different houses in Evergreen. And ultimately decided we wanted to build one and started looking for land. And this was an area that we had, when the kids were young, hiked back in before there were any houses here, before there were any roads even. And then when this lot came on the market, we decided to come look.
This is a very unique property. There's 6 lots on 240 acres, currently 5 homes, and one of the homes owns the other lot. So, you know, it looks like there are just going to be 5 homes back here. Each home has around 40 acres. We own 41 acres. And the great thing about all the neighbors is it's kind of our property, is your property to hike on, and so we really feel like we live on 240 acres. We are the first owners of this lot. This lot was the last to sell because it was not marketed as a view lot. And we came up here and hiked to the top, and we were determined to find a way to put a house up here.
This was actually more convenient to get our kids to activities and to and from high school and the junior high than some of the other neighborhoods we lived in, and yet you feel like you're in the middle of nowhere. This is a truly unique place in Evergreen, actually probably in all of the Front Range, in that you have the benefits of unbelievable views, incredible privacy, and yet I commuted downtown to work in downtown Denver for about 8 of the 13 years that we lived in this house. And it's as easy to commute from here as any place in Evergreen. You know, you walk in the front door and you're immediately taken by the views, and you're sort of looking over the living room, and then you come around a corner and there's the kitchen, which has got the kitchen on the left and the living room on the right, and then in between is a seating area that sits right in front of these giant windows with views to the outside.
That was the most brilliant part of the house. We spent so much time there.
And then we have a living room and a dining room that are off of that, and then we've got this, it's sort of a long spine to the house, so that I think it really does flow.
It was great to be able to design our own house, and of course my favorite part of the house is the kitchen. Dirk got to design the garage, I got the kitchen, and we realized that, you know, usually when you go to someone's home you end up in the kitchen, and so we sort of made the entire house part of the kitchen. And I love to bake, love to cook, so that went into the design as well. I would think in my mind at night, you know, okay, I'm baking cookies. Where do I want the cookie sheets? Where do I want the oven? Where do I want the flour? And so it's a very convenient kitchen in terms of that. You get your exercise. It's a big kitchen. But I mean, that's been the real treat for me.
And from a entertaining perspective, it's a great house. And as Nancy said earlier, you know, people tend to congregate in the kitchen, and the house lives as one large room, although you'll see when you go through it that we have that sort of each area is distinctly divided, and yet it's open, if that makes sense. It's unusual in that respect. We were cognizant of trying to do as much as we could on one level, so that as we got older, you know, we wouldn't have to go up and down a lot of stairs. And the only thing that's on the other floor is the kids' suite, and we've got 2 bedrooms upstairs with an area that, when they were younger, had office cubicles so they could do their homework, and then as they got older, it became more of a social area for them. Put a television in there, and they had their game controllers and all of those things. And so the house really lives easily. It's a lot like being on our own little resort spa up here.
It lives very well for 2 people. Really, on a daily basis, we use all of the rooms downstairs, except the extra bedrooms. And on the other hand, our kids, our son particularly when he was in college, would bring, oh my gosh, he'd bring 7 kids home at a time. And it would live beautifully with that many people in the house too. It's a really comfortable home to hang out in and have a lot of people around.
And you know, we were careful in how we built the house too. The house has, you know, it's all 2x6 construction. All the interior walls are insulated. We've got a theater and then a room that we used sort of as the kids grew up, as a kids' playroom, as a music room, as a second TV room. And both the theater and that particular room were designed so that sound wouldn't carry very far. So they're double drywalled. They're acoustically designed. They've got insulation between the walls, so the house is really quiet. One of the problems that most homes have with theaters is they tend to stick the theaters in the basement. And our theater is right across the hall from our kitchen, so it's very easy to take food from one to the other. And the other thing that we did with the theater, because it's a dedicated theater, it was acoustically designed, so the walls don't square up. We've got a barrel vaulted ceiling, and it's a full THX system, so it's the kind of state-of-the-art sound. It's an amazing theater, and yet the kids would go in and watch movies, close the door. Our bedroom is down the hall, and we can't hear the theater even when they've got it cranked pretty loud, just again because of the way it was designed and the way the sound deadening works.
The master suite has been perfect for us. We put in a fireplace and 2 chairs, so it's a comfortable place to sit. Our architect took full advantage of the views, which we love. Whether we're sitting or lying in bed, we see the sun come up in the morning, enjoy it actually all day long. And the bathroom actually is really, I kind of call it my spa. It's huge, and it's very comfortable and has worked out really well for us.
We have a separate deck off. In fact, it's the only deck. Most of the house is patios. We have a separate deck off the master suite that is really the only spot in the house that we purposefully cantilevered over space. I mean, I think that's one of the mistakes that people make in large view houses is they tend to build them up very high and cantilever them out over the land. We wanted to be able to take advantage of what our architect called the micro views. So we're nestled into the rocks, and this is I think a unique place in Evergreen in that we have all of these rock outcroppings, these amazing moss rocks everywhere. And the back of the house that faces the biggest views was left undisturbed from the construction process. So all of these rocks have been here forever, and we really nestled the house in here. So we've got trees right off the patios, rocks right off the patios, and yet you go 20 feet beyond that and we got our cantilever effect. And so you get the views. In our opinion, it was perfect because you get the views, but you also get this feeling that you're nestled into the woods. You gotta like light to live in this house, because we get, again, unlike most of Evergreen, we get sunrises and sunsets every day.
And we have doors accessing the outside from every part of the house, which is important to us. And the finishes, the first thing we picked for the interior was the granite. And we saw this granite and, I mean, immediately knew it was the right, because it was the same colors, the same feel as the outside. And then from the granite, we picked the other stone, we picked the wall coverings that kind of all went together and made it feel like a natural extension.
The bamboo floors in the kitchen, the slate floors in the entryway. And one of the things our architect did to delineate spaces is because it is so open, is that we changed floor coverings. So the floor in the kitchen is different than the floor in the living room, which is different than the floor in the dining room, and you've got this slate floor that also helps delineate these spaces. So you feel the openness, but you can also tell when you go from the kitchen to the living room because of the way the floor changes. And we wanted vaulted ceilings, we wanted a feeling of spaciousness. Got a climbing wall in the garage, that's always entertaining for the kids, and our son in particular would have people over and they would just take over the garage. We call it the Garage Mahal because it's a huge garage, it's an 1,100 square foot garage. And I will say, we have the best view from a garage of any house anywhere. But this is a tough place to leave. I mean, this is a tough place to leave on a daily basis.
Yeah, it's really tough to leave. I'm gonna choke up if I talk about it too much. We've got great memories here. I don't have any regrets about the house at all. I mean, it's just lived really well. It's been a phenomenal place to live.
I finally moved my office up here because I just liked being here. And this is a really easy place to be. You can be as isolated as you want, and you can be as social as you want. We are 2 miles from Highway 74 and Walgreens and Safeway and the post office, and yet we're a world away when you're back here.